we're red.
Okay. Let's get started. It is. What time is it? It's 3:03 on February 14th, 2022, 3 p.m. And I called this Travel Council Advisory Board meeting to order. Thanks for coming, everyone. We got 2 new members. We've got Rebecca and Lori here today. Super excited to get ourselves up to snuff and get a chair and vice chair elected. There's not a whole lot in this meeting today, but covering some important stuff. Let's do just a brief introduction for everybody. I guess everybody knows everybody, but maybe super quick, just in case. I'm the Economic Development Director.
Lacey, I'm the Chamber of Commerce Director.
Jenny Gleason, Sales Director, Red Taylor.
Brian Hunnings, Redcliffe Lodge.
Sharon Kinsley, Moab Information Center.
Alex Borsevsky, board member representing restaurants.
And Alter, Economic Development Specialist, Grant County.
Mary McGann, I'm the liaison for the commission, Grant County Commission.
Melissa, do you want to go first online and then pass it on?
Melissa Stokes, Assistant Marketing Director for Economic Development. Lori.
Hi, Lori McFarland, High Point Hummer and ATV in Moab, Utah.
I'll go next. I'm Rebecca Monso. I'm the sales manager for Homewood Suites and Hampton Inn here in Moab.
Caitlin Jones, Moab City Council Liaison, and I think that just leaves Howard.
Citizen to be heard.
Thanks, Howard. And then we have Doug from the TI just dropping in here. Are there any conflicts of interest, disclosures, or ex parte communication? Hearing none, are there any citizens to be heard?
Yes.
Go ahead, Howard.
Do I need to be seen too? Or you've seen enough of me?
You can choose to stay on camera or off.
Yeah, I'm actually in my office working. So I'll keep your time brief. You saw me last month. First of all, I'm extremely disappointed that I'm not sitting alongside you on the board of advisors. And I also appreciate that's not the advisory board's decision. And I really want to thank the members that supported my motion to serve the community again, but that's not done. Back in my office, I've just submitted my TRCC taxes, about $1,500, doesn't seem like a whole lot. So I'm just going to be attending as many meetings as I can to observe your marketing strategies and to see exactly where this private sector tax revenue is being spent and if it's being spent on marketing. And I really have to apologize to the county and the state, but my returns were very similar to what they were a year ago. And this first quarter has been devastatingly slow. So I can honestly tell you that my returns for the first quarter of 2023 will likely be less than they were last year. So I really would appreciate if the county commission would market and get our train back on the tracks, so to speak, because business is struggling right now. So I'll be watching. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Howard. Okay, let's go on. Are there any other citizens to be heard? Hearing none. Let's go on to presentations. Before we talk about state legislative stuff, I'm gonna have Melissa speak for a moment. She's traveling at a travel trade conference and just wanted to provide a little bit of insight into some of the operations of our office. Melissa, if you wanna speak to that for a second.
You guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm here representing the Moab Travel Council as a seller in the IITA. This is an International Inbound Travel Association. So right now we are talking about sustainability. We are talking about what's going on with the travelers, what's going on with the visas, what's going on, what's the new strategy the USA need to do. We have a lot of questions, we have a lot of concern because our number as an international, as a USA is down. And it's many factors. I have a lot of lists, like it could be like climate change. It could be that workforce shortage. It could be also the inflation. It could be Ukrainian. We have a lot of lists of what's happening right now with USA, but they are giving me a lot of tips that how we can improve to bring back our international visitors. So one of the things that they were mentioned a lot is bring high-end visitors that they have very educated, they're very educated. Let's go to stop promoting remote work, because those guys, they came with RVs, they don't use the hotel rooms. They go to city market and instead of spending in restaurants, in local businesses. They also say let's gonna promote more local businesses, like we already are doing in this year. We start doing a lot more focus on the artisans. So that's what they are mentioning right now. We are working right now. We try to find a strategy as a USA right now. We have a lot of competition with South America. All the Europeans are going to South America. They are going also, the Asian market is going to South America because it's cheap. And they are working also on the sustainable. They are trying to figure out exactly what's the word sustainable. Because sometimes they say luxury people, but also luxury people could be educated people. So right now we have a lot of discussion and I'm learning a lot.
Thanks, Melissa. Any questions for Melissa about the event she's attending? Awesome.
Yes, let me recap when she gets back. I mean,
Yeah.
that was good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Would love, we'll try to send out some kind of a report.
Of course, I'm gonna make a little report for everybody.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
All right, next, just a brief legislative update regarding TRT and TRCCA amendments. Two bills, one kind of more relevant to us, HB 416 and 417, both run by Bill Lyman this session. So 416 is specific to the economic diversification use of TRT that was established in HB 247 in 2021. They'll probably come right back. Blame it on the snow. Did y'all miss us for a second? Can you still hear us? Online? Yes, okay. Basically, the bill language changes the sunset date for that program from 2026 to 2023, so this July. So this morning I was up at the state capitol with several county commissioners, including Mary, Chris Baird, Jacques, and myself were up there. And it was in the Revenue and Taxation Committee where it was passed favorably. So now it moves on to the House floor. And the likelihood is that it seems like it's going to be a pretty hard thing to fight, and that our best chance is to try to get some kind of a compromise of bringing the sunset date, giving us a little bit more time, basically. And then 417 was brought by Darren Bushman, who's a county commissioner in Piute County. They have a lot of, they've created this Piute Trail, which is an off-road vehicle trail network. They don't really have much lodging to speak of, so they don't really have TRT to use to offset the cost of, this tourism ecosystem. And so they're trying to get some flexibility in the TRCCA to use that revenue to help offset, mitigate garbage collection and trail maintenance and that kind of stuff. But that is not specific to that area, so that would affect our use of TRCCA as well. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware. Any questions on that process or what's going on?
Is there any testimony given this morning?
Yeah, so I provided testimony, Jacques and Mary and Chris Baird all gave testimony, and myself on behalf of the county. And then there were several folks, a handful of folks from the community And Lyman presented alongside Elaine, our former director, and Lori as well, was up there this morning. There should be recordings of that if there's any follow-up questions.
Sorry, so did you say that TRCCA, it does affect our county or just?
It will, it's not like, whereas this TRT language is very specific to Grant County, the
Yeah.
TRCCA change is for the entire language. So my understanding is it would change how we can use
The whole state.
that's my understanding of it. But basically, it's mostly coming from Paiute County, great flexibility to spend that money for mitigation purposes, and UTIA did support that. That change.
Right.
It seems like a relatively innocuous bill. I don't think anybody has any problems with that.
Right.
So 416 though, what is the date that they're trying to eliminate the
The
dates?
new sunset, the original sunset date's July 1st, 2026. The new date's July 1st, 2023. So basically, if it was passed, it would mean that we have whatever reserves we had for that program and plus whatever revenue we generate through the end of this fiscal year for the state. And then the program goes away as it is. So it would be a pretty devastating change internally for our department, and the economic diversification program would basically die.
So they want to get rid of like TRT.
No, the TRT wouldn't change. The allowable use would change.
Right.
Yeah.
Our ability to use a portion of the promotional side of the TRT to diversify our economy will no longer be an option.
Yeah. And I know
And
that
what do they suggest that using the funds for them?
it would go back to the establish and promote use.
So just feeling the fire.
It would continue to it would be basically back to typical TRT.
It's going
Yeah.
to mean that we're not going to be able to continue our commitment we've made with Utah State to start a economic resource center. That won't happen.
I think that there's some flexibility even just within the 37%.
Yeah, Lyman was he was saying that he feels that we'd be able to support the SBDC out of the establishment promote. But when we're talking to UTIA and Natalie Randall, she was like,
They
that's
said
probably
no.
not going to be a lot, I think there's a lot of gray area in terms of what you can and cannot do with this kind of stuff. I think no matter what, UTIA and Natalie Randall was very upfront about wanting to get everybody on the same page about what are the allowable uses. As this board is really important moving forward for, regardless of what happens with the outcome of this legislation, this board is still going to be involved in the planning and development of this budget. And I think that wanting to make sure that there's common understanding of what can we actually use this money for, what's off the table, what's on the table. Let's have good dialogue with our local business partners. Let's ensure we have good transparency and accountability from the county side and kind of get on the same page and move forward, whatever the outcome of this legislation. So they're very much on board with, I think, trying to have a productive dialogue going forward regardless of the outcome of this bill.
And it's going to also stop our agreement we've made with the agreement we made to start the revolving loan fund.
Well, we haven't agreed to do anything for revolving loan fund, but
Just-
it's an exciting possibility that we wouldn't be able to put much money into.
Are they outlining anything, any like different qualifications that would change the outcome? Going for like the new sunset date to justify diversification?
Can you restate the question?
Did this is 416, is that including any change to like prove that you can diversify the economy in Moab? Did anything else change with that?
Oh, to like create some other
Yeah, with the
outlet or something like that?
dates changing, did
I-
they
I-
amend anything else?
No, I think that there's universal recognition that economic presentation is valuable. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. I think the fundamental conversation that's being had is, should it be TRT? And I think the industry feels very strongly that, there's more or less an industry, the industry perspective, industry imposed tax. And so therefore, this should stay within the tourism ecosystem. And that was a really strong conflict in the first place 2 years ago, right? Because it's being used outside of the tourism ecosystem. But I don't think that there's opposition towards finding ways to fund economic diversification.
Right.
But then on the flip side, we don't have to get too much into it, but like the likelihood of a new tax or something like that in the state of Utah is very unlikely. So I think there's appetite within like the Utah Association of Counties, within UTIA, to have this conversation because more and more communities are trying to find different sources for economic development funding. Right now, everyone relies on the rural county grant and other state programs. That's really all there. So
then what's the motivation for alignment to enforce this?
the understanding as we understand it is more or less, I think the folks that were upset with the creation of the bill in the first place. I think having the same reasoning that this is an industry, tourism industry tax should stay within the tourism industry, and that more or less there was folks felt that the Star Grant program was a misuse of funds or an ineffective use of funds. And that there was not enough planning. It was basically, there's a whole lot of that energy that was saying that Grand County hasn't used these funds appropriately, and therefore it's already on the edge of what we're comfortable with. And so therefore, we don't want to see this being used in this way going forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from some
August, we have a chat over there. I think Howard is chatting with us.
Yeah. If we can maybe have like another citizens be heard at the end or something like that. But we're just in the dialogue with the board right now. Thanks, Melissa, though.
So in some conversations that I've had, it sounds like there's an appetite, like you said, with UTIA to, help us get creative within the confines of what is tourism based, what is visitor economy, what can it support? Can it help us with things like housing and workforce and all of those things, that those seem appropriate? And if by doing that and we can, come to the table there, then it might open up some, general fund type things that we could still go forth with diversity, if that's what the county wants to do. Those are just some of the conversations that I've had.
Yeah, I think no matter what, for me, there needs to be some planning. There needs to be some getting on the same page.
Yeah.
And whatever that looks like, it's a very live situation, and we don't quite know what that means for our department, for our programs, for our staff, until it's over. So if this agenda is a little light, it's because we've been a little busy and a little stressed out. So
Maybe you'd say word varied.
yeah. Any other questions or comments or discussion?
So if the HB 417 passes, then am I understanding right that all of that, because right now our sheriff, is our EMS paid out of our TC? What is it paid out of right now? know
My understanding is TRCCA mostly funds the Grand Center Nostra
Okay,
for us, and
Okay.
that any of that EMS, search and rescue, law enforcement comes out of the mitigation side of the TRT.
okay.
And yeah, so basically it would create an additional use for TRCCA.
And do we have kind of like a reserve of TRCCA? Like, are we spending?
I
All
think
of
we've
that
been
on those
spending
funds?
all of our TRCCA every year. We had a TRT fund balance for a little bit.
Right.
That's going away pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yes, Jenny.
Quick, sorry. Do you need anything, not volunteering the whole board, from us that we can help with or start something? If this changes the master strategic plan, obviously it's been a couple hours, so I understand you might not have an answer, but if, I don't know, not to volunteer everyone, but
Sure.
just if you need something from us or.
I think when the dust settles, I think
Yeah.
we'll have to do changes no matter what. So
Yeah.
I think there'll probably be some kind of an interim budget, something or other, probably regardless.
We're gonna have to change the budget.
In some form.
So we won't have the funds that we thought we were gonna have after July 1st.
I mean, it's not over, but it feels like it's probably over, or at least somewhat over. We're not sure.
The only hope for, in my opinion, is if that we can get it extended to, December 31st, 2024. At least then we can complete this year with the budget we planned.
Yeah,
And
that's
we're
the,
working for, and then look at, and we let them know that we weren't going to continue with the grant program. That was just to get the ball rolling, that we were working more towards creating a revolving loan fund and working with USU to assist. So those were, that was the direction we were moving. We weren't gonna do the STAR grants anymore, but that wasn't enough.
yeah. And then for context, the legislative session ends on March 3rd. So by the next meeting, this will be done. No matter what. I mean, I guess they could call a special session, but they typically wrap stuff up.
Right.
But yeah, next steps, it'll have to go to the House floor, and it goes to the Senate, and then if they change it, it comes back to the House. And then beyond, I think our best shot at this point is hoping we get an amendment on the House floor to extend that date for the diversification likers out there. But, cool. I'm happy to move on.
I do have one more question. I apologize.
Okay.
The current grant recipients, since there's allegations that it was misappropriated or misused, are they in danger of having to return that money?
No, it's not really in the conversation. I think that was more, because there's been no mismanagement of funds. It's more perception of that as evidence to not continue the program. At least that's not in discussion. Okay, let's go on to the next discussion action item, consideration and potential approval of January 10th meeting minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the January 10th meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, next agenda item is election of board chair. So if anybody wants to nominate anybody, the chair.
I would like to nominate our esteemed ex-chair. Esteemed.
Okay, motion by Sharon to nominate Jenny to be the chair of the Job Path Board.
I'll second.
Motion seconded by Ryan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Can I just ask real quick, are there like limits? Like,
It's
how,
okay, well, every year you have to.
but you can do it like, but nobody can only do
I
it
don't-
for,
I don't
at the
think-
chamber, it's like you can only do it for something.
I don't think there's anything in
CNHA
our bylaws.
Yeah.
is too, but we changed our bylaws so they can go longer now
Yeah.
because we really
That's-
like the
that's what
board chair
we're-
that we had.
We're in the process of doing it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, I don't think there is anything in our bylaws.
Cool. Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't see.
Oh, online, did we get an aye or a nay from Rebecca and Lori? I didn't. Ben,
I
Ben-
know Lord.
I'm on a thumbs up. That was an eye on my side.
Okay, okay, so
If
all in
I had-
favor.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So it does confirm passing unanimously. Thank you, Ben. Election of, well, to answer your question, we're gonna look at the bylaws, so we'll see. But I don't think there's anything that
I
says.
don't
there's
think
like
I've
a
seen
limit.
anything about
I
it.
think most people succumb to attrition and that's what else to go for. Okay, election of board vice chair. Any nominations for vice chair? For any discussion, or anybody who's interested?
I don't know if I have time.
Sharon sounds like she's gonna say something.
I was gonna actually nominate Lori to get her a little more involved in the tribal council, get her feet wet really fast.
I second.
Well,
Lori, would you, I make a motion
should ask her.
to nominate Lori if she's willing.
Holy cow, Sharon, that's not feet wet, that's drowning. I honestly, I just want to learn. I will do whatever if it helps to be a co-chair, I will learn. Sharon, thanks for throwing me under the bus.
Responsibilities of the vice chair are basically like sub in case
Okay.
Jenny can't be here.
Okay, Jenny, we're gonna have to get to be better friends.
Perfect.
Well, like, unless anybody else really wants to throw their hat into the ring.
It's like you don't be friends.
No,
Okay, well,
that's not what I meant.
don't tell her that.
That's not what I meant.
Give her that option.
But, did you make the motion?
I made the motion.
Okay,
I second.
okay, motion made by Sharon, seconded by Jenny. Any discussion? Sounds like we kind of had it already. Okay, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously.
Wow, thanks, guys.
Congratulations, Lori.
welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to study Robert's Rules of Order. My gosh.
Just hang out long enough and figure it out.
Okay.
All right, let's go on, Ben, to consideration of revisions to bylaws. And can you give us a little bit of an update?
I love it when you leave, but it should be genuine.
Oh, so true. You're the board chair.
Okay.
Consideration of bylaws.
Consideration of revisions of the bylaws.
Yeah, so if I could just provide a note here, so I sent out an email earlier today. If you've ever looked at the boards on Grand County's website, everyone has different bylaws with different format. It's very confusing. So our commission administration team is proposing putting together a format for all boards to have obviously different bylaws, nuanced for different boards, but the same formatted documents. So that looking at different boards would be so confusing. So with that said, at the beginning of the year, all boards are supposed to review their bylaws and propose changes. We did that last year. Knowing that this format change is coming from the commission administration and we now have some new members, I would suggest that we would postpone taking the action on the bylaws today. If folks had other revisions they wanted to propose or discuss, I think this would be a great time, but I would say to postpone the actual action item until next meeting. We'll likely have a new format then, and we can incorporate it, suggested changes from last meeting and this meeting. If folks want to dive into it, I'm happy to pull up the red line document as it stands right now.
I think most of the changes that we talked about last year were basically just wording, was it? Instead of chairman is chairperson, that kind of
There was,
thing, and then.
yeah, there's no operating substance change right now. It's making most pronouns gender neutral. It's fixing grammatical errors and mentions of the board to TCAB. And
our
there were,
office too.
what?
And our office.
Yes, and change the name of our office, which may be premature. There was also a question if we had to get rid of language about a 2/3 majority, because our bylaws don't actually state that we ever need to vote on a 2/3 majority. So why the language is there is curious. It's probably a holdover from changes 10 years ago when there were circumstances to use 2/3 majority. But my reading of the bylaws right now say that everything's a simple majority. So that's where everything stands right now. But this morning, Kalen was putting in some more substantive changes. So Kalen, I don't know if you want to speak to any of your suggestions and if any of our new members had any questions about this process as well.
I don't have it pulled up at the moment. I was mainly trying to make it consistent with my understanding of state law and how this board actually operates and its parameters. So, but yeah, if you want to pull it up, I can.
Yeah, just a moment here. Oh yeah, changing county council. Big change.
So the red lines are green lines on this.
Yeah.
So since this was last revised, the county has assumed full responsibility for the film commission. So I just wondered about including that in the some of the listings of purpose.
Well, this, I mean, I think that's captured within, let's see, recreation, tourism. I could add film and conventions towards, maybe just make a comment for where it says recreation, tourism and conventions and just line it up with the TRT code.
That's what I was referring to as well,
Yeah.
because
And probably TRCCA as well, honestly.
Yep, I can make that change after this.
Okay.
Let's see. Caitlin,
Does
you're- Sorry, Lori, go ahead.
Does the committee think, just August, curious if you perceive that there will be additional changes if HB 417 changes, we might have increased flexibility with the way TRCCA applies to this, but maybe not. I haven't been able to get more than a couple pages in. Apologies there.
Yeah, I don't think we have to change the bylaws. I think so long as we refer to the TRCCA code.
Okay,
just generally, in the bylaws, then that should cover any changes that take place.
thank you.
Yeah,
Caitlin had a question here about if liaisons within the county specifically refers to your commission. That sounds right, but I'm going to check with the commission administration to see if they.
sounds good.
See here. Let's see, annual notice of regular public meetings. Should be, yep, that looks like just more legalese that we need to add. That looks right. That changed later.
And then on the emergency meetings, emergency meeting as defined in the Open and Public Meetings Act tends to be things that affect health and safety and public resources, which allow you to bend some of the Open and Public Meeting Act noticing requirements. So I wasn't sure if this was referring to true emergency meetings or just special meetings. In either case, it was hard for me to imagine this board needing to convene a true emergency meeting. And if it was convening a special meeting, it would just do so in conformance with the state noticing law as opposed to the most practical manner. So I just thought that cleaned up a little.
Yeah, I suspect that's another instance of language that was carried over from other bylaws from other boards that was kept to be prudent, but it doesn't seem like we would need that provision. So I'll check with commission administration. That'll likely change to special meetings.
I'm sure, anyway, doesn't matter. Yes, that sounds good. We'll check on that. I'm sure that'll be captured in their boilerplate
Yeah.
bylaw.
Caitlin, I'm taking a glance. Did you have anything else of substance you wanted to raise with us?
No.
I appreciate your eye for detail.
Thanks for your work.
Always happy to.
Is there any more? Can I make a motion or whatever?
We don't have to, we're not gonna.
What I was gonna say is move to table this action on a revision to bylaws until, or postpone, is that what it is? So we postpone any action until after the county does the format changes and these changes are put in. And then we relook at it next meeting.
And another newbie question here. Do you suppose that any of this would need to be reviewed by the Grand County Attorney, or are we good to do this autonomously?
This is just the board's input. This
Okay.
will go through the attorney before it goes to the commission. Because the commission
Okay.
has to make the final, any changes to the bylaws. We just make recommendations.
Awesome. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
An easy way to remember, Sharon, is when you table something, you put it in the table till later.
Oh, okay. Postpone is for another day. Thank you.
That's how I remember. It took me a while to go, oh, okay, it's on the table. Before I leave, I have to deal with it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I,
Was
Are
that,
you opposed or are you in favor, Lori? Sorry.
I'm supporting the table or postponement, whatever it is that we decided to do.
Okay. Any discussion? And that's unanimous, right?
Mhm.
Okay, next, update on the Grand Summit. Thank you for the discount.
Sure. If you wanted to go to the Grand Summit, didn't make good on your discount, I'm sorry. GrandSummitMoab.com is the place to find all the information about the summit. If you scroll down on this first page, you can see our sponsors. There are a few sponsors here that aren't even listed. Got some really cool sponsors this year, representing businesses that we were unable to reach out to last year. So I think that this is going to be a completely new beast, and we're really excited to put it on. The summit is on March 1st. There is a pre-summit reception, February 28th in the evening at the Red Earth venue. So if you have a ticket to the summit, you also have a ticket to that reception. We'll have light appetizers and drinks. And it'll be your first chance to network with folks who will be at the summit. The summit kicks off at 8 in the morning on Wednesday the 1st. Tickets, you can start grabbing breakfast and checking in at like 7:30. If you go to the website, you can also check out things like our agenda and some fun blurbs about what you can expect from some of these events. We are still getting all of our information on the website right now of the presenters you can expect, but there are definitely some up there.
a new photo? That is a terrible photo.
It's the one you used last year, so. one of
You should think right now, you're all 50.
I know.
Selfie.
Yeah, right.
That wasn't the recipe there.
The summit this year of note, I know there's been a lot of talk today about the future of economic diversification. I think that no matter where you find yourself on that discussion, there's something of value at the summit. It really is focused on the economic trajectory that we're already on within the region. Of note, we changed the name this year to the Grand Summit. While we used to work with San Juan County on this, they're working on putting on their own economic development programming. We wish them well. This gives us an opportunity to focus just a little more on what's going on in our immediate region. So there will be some really great events focused on commercial and industrial land use and zoning, on the past, present, and future of energy within our region, and how that's going to help our workforce and how that's going to change our workforce as well. We're also going to have a presentation from the folks at the Synergy Company on lean business practices. And we'll be having an update on our responsible recreation program, as well as our marketing strategy for the coming year. I think it's gonna be a really cool event. I encourage you all to grab tickets. If you have any questions or want to get involved in any way, please reach out to me. And I think that's it.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you still doing tables outside for
I
spots?
think that we are at capacity for tables.
At capacity.
If there's a way you want to get your information out there, the folks who are helping us put it on this year, Sarah Kyle from Powerhouse Events, they've done a lot of events like this. So if you want, I can connect you with them, and we might not be able to do a table at the summit like you saw last year, but there might be some other way to set some booth up, or maybe get the word out at the reception the night before to get you all involved. The problem is really just space at the Hoodoo. I think we are at capacity with those tables, but if you email me, we can try and find something.
If I know someone's interested, just.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, and then maybe that's, you want to do a sponsorship plug and how they can, people
Email you if you want to be a sponsor.
email you or Sarah? Okay,
Well, you can email Sarah, but you probably already have my email. If you want to email Sarah, these are different sponsor packages. You can get tables, you can get shout outs, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. Sarah@powerhouse.events is the way to reach our awesome friend Sarah Kyle, who will help you out with sponsorship. If you email me, I'm just going to connect you with her, but I'm happy to do that as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And did you get that email from Shaylee?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, that space is being held right now, so.
Certainly. I'm sure we will, we just don't know how yet.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine.
yes, it is powerhouse.events.
Yeah.
Right?
Powerhouse.events.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. If you all have any questions about the summit, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to see all of you there. I'll do whatever I can to get you there. I think it'll be a great thing. And yeah, again, regardless of where economic development stands in this office, this is something that we're trying to make relevant for all stakeholders in the region. So I think there's a little bit of something for everyone.
I already bought my tickets.
Nicely done. All right. Cool. That's all I have.
Ben,
Thank you
I
all.
have just one question. I saw that we have in your agenda rediscover MOA. I mean, I'm gonna be in Go West at that time. So who's gonna be the speaker for rediscover MOA?
It's probably going to be August and someone from Love Communications.
Good. Are we gonna talk the strategy for 2023 or 2022?
Well, let's talk about the next agenda item, and I think that will touch on that.
Let's go to the next agenda item. Update on Love Communications contract.
So we had the pleasure of discovering that our contract had expired at the end of 2022. We thought that there was auto renewal language in there, but it was renewal language that had to be renewed before the expiration of the contract. And so for county purchasing policy, we had to go out to bid. So we put an RFP out last week. It closes tomorrow. The long story short, we're working to get that sorted out as quickly as possible. Love was in the process of rolling out the continuation of the fly market campaign this spring already. And as soon as that is buttoned up, we will get back on that. So it's we're kind of, nothing's changed and hopefully nothing changes. But we're just gonna have to go through the purchasing motions of making that work. It is an open purchasing process. So, if we get an amazing bid, we have to consider all of these things, but we really think Love is a great vendor for this work and aren't doing this to get out of a contractor or to a different vendor. But before this happened, we had talks to basically flesh out all of our budgeted marketing spend from timed entry to drive market to fly market, and they were working on that. And so that's what we would be, to answer Melissa's question, that's what we would be speaking to at the summit and where that's going. And if things change, then they change. Does that make sense, Melissa? And if there's any other questions on that?
No, I think that's good. I hope that we can work with Love again. So, yes.
Yeah. They've been very good to us.
When did you put up the RFP?
Last week. So the county purchasing policy requires us to have a minimum of 1 week for an RFP. So it'll close tomorrow afternoon.
Have you guys gotten in other ones?
I don't know, it goes to the clerk's office. They have to submit it physically.
Yeah, there's a good chance that in the mail it will arrive.
Yeah, so it closes at 4 p.m. Has to be here by 4 p.m. tomorrow.
And so does the economic development make a decision on that, or does it have to go to commission?
The actual signing of a contract has to go to the commission, but the scoring, there's 5 people scoring committee. That includes commission administration, myself and staff. I can't remember exactly who's on it, but it will have to go to a commission meeting to actually sign a contract.
That was Gabe, you, Valerie, me.
Staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a question, just a little point of information.
Yeah.
You and I probably would have visited about this yesterday, August, and redirect me if I need to. Trying to understand the role of the advisory board. Do we get to have an idea of, like, overestimated idea of the TRT and where each part of it goes and be part of that conversation, or is that pretty much done in-house with you and Melissa and Ben? Sorry, just a little structure advice
Oh,
there.
Perfect question, and I think a good grounding context for the board. Basically, the way the process ideally works is that there's a collaborative creation of an annual budget between our office and this board. That happens throughout, the summer-ish, going into the county budget season in the fall. That is more or less cooperatively presented to the commission. There might be things that like I'm really asking for that maybe the board is not interested in, or things that the board really wants that maybe I don't want. But typically, it's relatively cooperatively crafted, presented to the commission, and then it goes through the commission budget process in the fall. And then once that's done, then it's implementation time for our office, and then we kind of continue to report back on activities to the board. I think this year, given everything that's happening, most likely there is going to be some kind of I think no matter what, there should be a strategy conversation about the co-op grant, which happens this summer. So the application window for the state's cooperative marketing grant takes place July, June ish. So, in April, March, probably, I think is a good time to, as we're looking at all of our marketing that's planned for this year and any other strategies that we're looking at, what do we want to go after for an additional, $250,000 from the state to help fund, and would want to do that in concert with the rest of the programming that we've already funded. If there's additional funding that comes out through any budget changes, and love would be kind of our guide through that process. Does that answer your question?
Yes, exciting. And just to reflect back, it sounds like previous boards in your department have already laid out 2023, but we'll be looking mostly, with the exception of some of these little grants, we'll be looking to plan for 2024. Is that correct?
I think that's about right. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you for bringing me up to speed.
Yep. Any other questions on the love communication stuff?
So we'll know that at the next commission meeting.
I'm not, well, so in a perfect world, in my dream world, it's 4 o'clock tomorrow. We open the packets, we make an evaluation, and magically everything gets lined up that I can get it on the following week's commission meeting, because Wednesday is when we have to submit things by then. But if there's an insurance document or something like that that we don't have dialed, it would be really tight to get it on there.
So is there a backup plan, or does that affect the summit and your marketing presentation there?
That's a really good point.
It's like, no, we don't need that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
Trying really hard to get it on the following week's
Cool.
agenda, but
Could you put it on the agenda with how the,
it's a conversation I have to talk to the commission administration, see what they're comfortable with, and see what I can get away with.
I think we can work it
How
out.
quickly I can turn this. Cool.
Sure, we can work it out.
But no matter what, I think intention is I think even if it was out of contract or something like that, say, well, this is what happened last
This is
year, and
what we
here's what
wanna
we
do.
report on, and this is what was in the pipeline.
Yeah. Okay,
That's cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's all I have on that.
And then next consideration of future agenda items.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw this on there because this is a pretty light thing, and
I think we definitely need to have the Park Service come give us an update on what their plans are for the new year for time entry.
Okay.
Because I know, there's some things changing. So, and I know, Kate is.
she's on detail
She's
on
on
the monument at the
detail,
moment.
yeah. Trying to think when she's gonna be back.
Where?
She's in Colorado.
She's in
right now.
Colorado National Monument.
Got it.
So she's not here.
Yeah.
Public land speak, sorry.
Got it.
But like Jory could do it, or there's other people that
Right.
could fill in for her.
Okay, so an NPS time entry
Mhm.
brief.
And then I'm wondering, we used to have, back in the day, we used to have kind of like a roundtable reports from each, so like the chamber could say,
Yeah,
this is what I'm hearing from businesses. I think that maybe if we can bring that back, we could collaborate a little better.
okay.
Also like the film commission. I know that was kind of talked about, like. Talk about what's upcoming,
Like, just like a one-off kind of an update for the
Yeah.
year. Okay,
kind of everyone, like what Lacey said, like, you know, Melissa reports on all the things she goes to, but she's been really busy and just
Yeah.
kind of giving everyone, especially like new board members and kind of overview of everything going on.
cool, for sure.
We'll keep it short.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this doesn't have to be next meeting. It's just like
Right.
anything you want to talk about basically for the rest of the year that should be posted. That you want to have included. I'm gonna throw in there like the discussion of what we want to do for the co-op grant. for
Right.
example.
Right. But I think if we could do just kind of like a standing round table, I think that would be good.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's good.
Yeah.
That's what we used to, that's what we used to do.
Yeah.
So Mary used to give a report.
Mhm.
Yeah, something else I'm working towards bringing back is a more predictable, reliable kind of statistics update.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out a way to basically contract that out so that we're not doing that on a monthly basis, because we end up getting pulled in this and that direction, and it happens every single time, and it just comes to me and I can distribute it.
Right.
Whether that's
And that would include like TRT numbers and expenditures. and-
ideally, yeah, exactly. However that works.
Yeah.
You know, mixing our data with third-party vendor data that we subscribe to. et cetera, et cetera.
Occupancy. Perfect.
We have a lot budgeted this year for those kinds of projects, but haven't made much progress on that at this point. But that's, I think, of utmost importance. So we know what's going on and can report to the community as soon as possible.
August, do we have any companies that they apply for the RFP?
I don't know. I haven't checked by the clerk's office.
That would be cool if we can finish that next week. I mean, I'm gonna be next week in the office, and I would like to participate on the RFP thing.
Let's talk offline about that, Melissa, because it'll probably be tomorrow that we take a look at that.
Okay.
I love the idea of nerding out with your data there, August. I love that if we can show that we're data driven, I think that we'll have more ability to make those recommendations. I appreciate the fact that that's a huge stress, and that however you get that data, good for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori.
Would we be able to get a hold of someone or have someone from the state come and give us an update on when and if or what they're doing with the new state park?
Oh, for Utah Raptor?
Yeah.
They're working on appropriation right now, and that's one thing you could do is you could, you know, email your legislators and say that you want some more appropriations for the state park. I know they've done some drilling for water, which has been challenging. And we gave the right of way so that they will start the new entrance.
I mean, you know, also, you know, updates, the BLM has been doing.
That's
a
what
lot
I was
of-
gonna just say.
The BLM has been doing a lot of updates on different camp sites. Forest Service has the new one up that they're doing up in LaSalle's
Some kind of like public land.
public lands. people, you
Like,
know, we
even
could
just letting us know, like, there's a really good process to let us know of when those public comments come and those proposals, those land closure proposals and all those things come up. It would be awesome if this board could be like privy to all of that information.
That's good.
That's a lot
Is
of.
that-
I mean, you're in charge of the agenda from now on, so.
Done through
Yeah.
December, ready to go.
Right, yeah, and then Rebecca or Laura, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or not anyone else, but I think these guys are a little busy right now. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
anything else for future agenda items? Any other discussion? Any other business?
Well, there's no business on the agenda. You can't talk about it.
Well, if there's no objections, I'd like to adjourn this meeting.
Isn't there the chat stuff we have to?
We don't have like a citizens be heard. Let's take a look at these for sure.
Oh, right.
Howard, I just want to come back to your comments here. Brian made a good point here. Is there any other comments that you wanted to make? Just seeing your chat from earlier here.
You're asking me?
Yeah,
Oh, I just put my comments in the online thing, that's all. You can review at leisure.
okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you. Nice watching you all.
Right, nice to join this meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.